Good afternoon. Today is a very lovely day, and the horses are up here. I gave them their oats, and boy, they have um, just tons and tons of grass for 3 horses. Um, I was thinking today about the video I made yesterday, and I'm not trying to make anybody feel badly, including Richard's son. Uh, we all have our share of guilt at times. I don't know. I wasn't trying to make Brett feel badly over the baseball card deal or anything else, really. What happens when you're someone you've lived with for half your life and then dies, I feel like I'm going through a kind of review of life myself. Like they say after you die that there's a point where you see your whole life before you and you see all the things that you did and even your thoughts. And in a way, I feel like I'm going through that, and I'm just reflecting on all the wonderful things that Richard did, and I feel sad that maybe he just deserved so much more back in return. And I have my share of guilt. Oh boy, do I? You know, starting with just how he died. I will have to live with that decision of going to Maui for the rest of my life, and it was the worst catastrophic decision I could have ever made, because I think to myself, maybe if I had stayed, he'd be alive today. It's real possible, because I didn't realize how important it was for me to be there with him. I thought, he was okay. He was feeling good. He didn't say anything about, I think this is a bad time for you to leave, Jackie, because I don't know, I'm just not feeling all that well. But he was never that kind of person. He never wanted to be seen as some kind of victim, He never wanted to be seen as having to lean on anybody or depend on anybody for anything, including with me. And the one person that would have been happy to do whatever he wanted me to do, and just there wouldn't have been a problem if he had said, I need you to be here, But my mom was kind of similar. I mean, there's something about Leos with their pride. Boy, it just gets in the way, because my mom was the same way. She had her pride, and she just couldn't just say straight out, I need you, please come here. If she had said that, I would have been, no matter how much we were fighting and the problems we had, if she had just said straight out, I really need you to be with me right now, I would have got on the plane and gone. But she never, because of her pride, she just wouldn't say that. And Richard is sort of the same way. Independent, had his pride. He was never the kind of guy that would say, I need you to be here to take care of me. That just was not in his vocabulary, But I carry it anyway. That's something that it just weighs on me, and it will weigh on me for the rest of my life. And I have cried over it, and I'm about ready to cry about it again right now as I do this video, because I think about what a catastrophic decision that was. And you see, every decision really does have consequences. It's not like when you make a choice and you decide something and it just, nothing bounces back, or, there are no effects to it. The Greeks knew this. Eastern philosophy, they called it karma. Plato and Socrates talked about be careful of not only your actions because they have consequences, but be careful of your thoughts. And that was imbued in every one of the ancient Greek dramas as well. All the plays always had a moral principle involved in trying to convey the idea that your actions, your choices have consequences. And I remember before I left, I always say kind of a little prayer before I have to travel anywhere, whether it's to Tennessee, to my mom's house, or to Maui. And I always say, okay, if I have any guardian angels watching over me at all, let me know if I'm not supposed to go, give me the signs. And they did give me the signs, because on October 2nd, I was supposed to fly to Maui and the flight was canceled. That was the red flag number one. That was the sign saying, don't go. And I ignored it, and I went ahead and I made the second reservation, because in order to bring my dog, Schmickles, as a service dog, the permit only lasts for 5 days. And that's where my brain was. I was thinking, oh, okay, I got to make another reservation before the permit. Otherwise, I have to go through the whole process again that can take a month or more. And I told Richard, this is not going to be a long trip at all. Maybe 3 weeks. I was going to leave October 2nd and be back by November 2nd. I said, way before Thanksgiving, I'll be back. And he seemed fine about it. That's the thing. He didn't have any, he didn't say, but there were a couple times when now that I think about it, so it's not only that the flight got canceled, but he was trying to tell me in his own way, don't go, now that I think about it. Because he was saying, hey, this government shutdown, you don't know how long it's going to be, and it's really having a bad effect on flights. Flights are being canceled all over the place. And I didn't listen. And I just said, but yeah, that's true across the country, but it's okay going from California to Hawaii. Those routes are, still on schedule. And so, I didn't listen to the warnings on that, because it was during the government shutdown. That was another red flag. And then the third one was, out of the blue, I got this eye sty, something I never had in my life. A sty is like a little pimple inside the lid of your eye, and I remember putting a whole bunch of oil, like this argan oil, on my face, and I must have overdid it, and it probably got into my eyelid, and it clogged a pore, and I never had one before. And Richard looked at it and he said, oh, that's nothing, don't worry about it, it's like a little pimple, it will dissolve on its own. And I thought, okay, maybe that's him telling me it's okay to still go. But he was a night owl, and he'd stay up very late, and it was about 12 or 1, and I came down and he was up, and I said, Richard, this is not getting better, it's getting worse, because it was getting kind of like a painful bump. And he looked at it with his flashlight and everything, because he was kind of like the in-house doctor, for me. And he looked at it and he said, yeah, it is getting worse. But he said, he said it's probably just a little pimple, and it will dissolve, it will go away on its own. And so I thought, okay, I guess that means it's okay to still go. And I'm not putting the choice on Richard by saying this, but I honestly thought, in my head, I thought, if Richard says, that looks bad, you better not go, then I'm not going. I remember having that thought in my head. And he never said that. He just said, yeah, it did get a little worse, but it's not so bad. It will go away. And I ended up going to the airport and going to Maui, and it was the worst decision I ever made, because I couldn't get back because of the government shutdown when he started to feel badly, which was around October, mid-October. That's when things started to get bad for him. And I said, okay, I got to get out of here. I got to get home. And every time I made a reservation, it got canceled, and I had to coordinate it with Schmickles because he's a service dog, and that was kind of tricky. If it had been just me, I could have taken any flight and got out of here and got out of there. But it was hard. And then I just thought, okay, he's having some heart problems again, but he's going to be okay, It doesn't mean he's going to die. But there were a lot of signs as we got towards the end of October that made me really, really scared and made me think this is not good. This is like signs before death. Visions that he was having, premonitions. He wouldn't want to eat anything, and then the one day that he did feel good, it was like that is a common thing for people before they die. It's like the light bulb analogy, where they send, a light bulb, it gets real bright before it burns out. And that is a common thing that happens to people before they die. And he got all of a sudden this energy, and he wanted to eat just about anything, and he was feeling good, and he was telling me on the phone, yeah, just, get your butt back here, and, And I got so happy because I thought, oh, good, he's over the hump. And I didn't know that until I started doing research on my own. As I've been saying, I have been trying to connect with him, and I've been watching a lot of videos, and I've been learning about what happens to people before they die. And I didn't know that was like a sign. Like, there was a hospice nurse that described that on video, and she said, I have to tell family members, do not get excited when you see them get this kind of burst of energy, because it usually means they're going to end up dying the next day or within the next couple of days. And that's what happened. He ended up dying November 1st. And it's not only that I'm carrying that weight of making that decision, because I still don't know if it was possible that he would have continued to live if I had not gone. But on top of that, even if he had died and I had been here, there's no way that his son would have come in to the house and started taking whatever the hell he wanted to take. So it had, two catastrophic consequences on my making that decision. Now, of course, I didn't know before I left that if I had any clue at all that he might die, of course I would not have gone. But when he dropped me off at the airport, he just seemed like his regular old self, like he was fine. And he was. But something happened midway, where I don't know what happened, but something happened like in the middle of October where he took a turn for the worst. And I just feel so sad, and I do feel guilty for making that decision. And it's partly too because it was based on my own, my own self-interest, my own selfish desires of wanting to go to Maui and see if everything was okay and have and I look back and I think, why did I do that? He was not out of the woods. He had the heart problem a few months before that, a couple months before that, and I should have just never gone. After he had the first episode, I just should not have left him. And now I have to carry that. I have to carry that guilt. And there's nothing I can do about it. I can't reverse it. I can't ask God to turn back the clock, so I can say I'm not going. There's nothing I can do about it, and I have to carry that now. And that is probably the worst. That makes anything that Brett or Richard's father or anything look like child's play. That is what I have to carry. And it is so heavy on my heart. And I will never be able to overcome it. I'll have to live with it. I feel like I contributed to his death by leaving. And nothing can compare to that, no matter whatever little petty things that happen with his father or son, with money or this or that. This was a decision between life and death, and I didn't even know it. So I'm trying to get my head clear, and I just wanted to let people know that it's hard dealing with guilt after your loved one dies. It's really hard. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.